This is Kitten Features, and you're listening to ShowX Live with Ken in a student accommodation all the way in Scotland, and Wade in his white windowless van? Uh-oh, I better get out of here. Enjoy the show!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to ShowX on VtWProductions.com. You're listening live at 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. GMT on this Sunday, the 1st of December, 2019, and welcome to the show. As you can see, we are going solo today as Ken and Kitten Features are out adventuring and hopefully filling out things, taking advantage of the sales this weekend to get their apartment, their new place in order. As Ken has spent the last week or so on an air mattress with a single stool. I think that was about it for quite some time. So, hopefully, they're out and about and doing good things and will come away with all of the good deals for this, the sales that are going on this weekend that hopefully they will take advantage of, and in doing so, come back fully furnished. So, everybody, welcome to the show. Going to go ahead, since it's just me today, and kick off with a little bit of
Dysfunctional Deviations.
And admittedly, we really need to get go ahead and update our intro. In fact, one of the things that we're trying to figure out is what is going to be our new title, our new kind of introduction of what we're doing on the show, because Ken is no longer in student accommodations. He is now, in fact, crossed the pond and come over to our side of things here in the United States. And I don't have a windowless fan and such, and so trying to figure out what we need to do to update our intro word-wise. We have the music, I think, picked out, but we haven't quite figured out what it is exactly we want to say. And so if you have any suggestions, I figure we could probably need to put something in there about, what is it? Ken's being a doctorate and such now. And so, I think we got that, or we'll figure that out. So with that, let's see what else is going on this week in Dysfunctional Deviations. But yeah, feel free. Any suggestions you have, email us in at showx@vtwproductions.com, as well as any geek you've been up to this last week. I'd also love to hear if you found some nook or cranny of the interwebs or some cool store that you were able to find your own Black Friday sales deals on, and something you're really excited that you were able to pull off and get hold of. Either chat that to me or email it, and we'll get to those discussions as we go forward. So, this last week in the United States has been Turkey Gobble Day, the Happy Turkey Murder Day, as we like to say, thanks to Copy and the Canadians up north who like to give us those details. For me, here in Denver area, it was a snow-filled Turkey Day. We actually, last Tuesday, had enough snow come through all of a sudden, and for the temperature to drop sudden enough that it closed a lot of establishments, my work and other things, and so I basically stayed home and used that opportunity to commit what normally I would consider a faux pas or something against, where I'm the kind of person who likes to wait to put out any Christmas decorations or things like that until after Thanksgiving. But since I was already stuck home and had nothing planned to do, I made sure to at least bring up my bins of decorations to get them all ready to put out, as well as set up my Christmas tree. It is not decorated yet. I am still waiting to do that. I need to start doing that now. But at least I pulled everything out of storage to get ready for things. And so I did take some of that snowy day to do so. It is still quite snowy out. I wish I could share it better, but it is not easy to see with the bright windows behind me, but it is iced over and snowy out there as it has barely gotten above freezing in all the time since then. So, quite a cold turkey day for us. Was able to slide my way over to a friend's house for it. I have local friends. It's something I think really came out of the military lifestyle that I had, where a bunch of us got together and celebrated the kind of what would normally be a family holiday with amongst a bunch of friends. And so we had a Friendsgiving for a lot of my people from work that I've known for decades now. I wish I could count the number of times that my friend has hosted these events for us, but went there, ate far too much food. I was in pain, literally in pain, I didn't believe I'd eaten so much because I really only got like 1.5 plates of food, but maybe I just had I ate it too fast. I don't know. I don't know what happened, but in the result of it, I had a bellyache, which normally I don't suffer from. But man, I feel like terrible these. I'm feeling my age. I normally could put away like 3-4 plates of turkey and stuff like that on a Thanksgiving binge, but not this year. Anyhow, we hung out, caught up, saw friends, came back early. Like I said, I was hurt. I was back home, I want to say, by like 6 o'clock or so. We ate at 2, so I was back home around 6, and then I had no desire to go out into the world myself and do any shopping. In fact, I haven't been able to, in my mind, get anything together for a shopping list, or I think I already have an idea of gifts that I plan to give and stuff like that. And so I had no desire to get out of the house after that. So instead, I got home, and as I was feeling the weight of the food in me and the discomfort from it, I did at least get out there, and I started streaming a little bit for those who cared to watch some Beat Saber, although I'm still struggling to figure out. Beat Saber does some weird things for me in VR where it hiccups a little bit while I'm playing if I'm streaming. It does it a little bit anyways, but it does it worse when I'm streaming. So I think I sorted most of it out so I can stream. But I started playing that to, as I said, work off the weight of the food I had eaten that morning and afternoon. And so you can see some streams of me trying to figure out some more Beat Saber. Although I will say I'm kind of proud of myself because I started playing at a lot harder difficulty than I normally would. Normally I'd warm up with just like a medium type thing. This one I played most every song on hard, and I think I tried 1 or 2 in expert as I got warmed up, and I was not terrible. I think it's partially because I've also been going up through as they've updated Beat Saber over some time, they added a solo campaign to it that turns on and off a lot of the modifiers in the game with different songs and different difficulties. As you work your way up the tree, it starts out very slow and kind of a easy to medium setup for some of the songs with no real modifiers to eventually, and I didn't realize this until the first one hit me, and I was like, wait a second, I didn't turn that on. And then sure enough, when I finished the song, I looked up and said, oh, that was one of the challenges of this tier that I was at. But it turned on the mode where shortly after a note shows up and it tells you which way you have to cut and with what color, it disappears the actual direction you were supposed to cut and just turns into kind of this empty box. And so you have to remember it from when it first formed to the moment it gets to you that you actually get to play it. And so that one I was just like, man, this is killing me. Hando, that would be brilliant. I would love... It's funny you bring that up. There's been a lot of talks, memes, and other things going on as we continue with Disney Plus's show The Mandalorian. That Baby Yoda, probably the biggest thing to come out of the show so far, as it is 4 episodes released as of this Friday. And I saw a note somewhere that people were already trying to mod Baby Yoda into... Which game was it? So a couple of the different Star Wars ones out there, but I could see if there were an instructor avatar or something like that in the Beat Saber, other than it would be a complete, IP issue, in that there's no way they would be able to license it because it's not officially a Star Wars game, that they would be able to bring Baby Yoda, but it would be cool. Maybe they could put some, baby non-uniform alien-looking creature to teach you through. But no, that would be great. So let's see, what else? And I appreciate it is, I don't know if Mandalorian, it is a binge-worthy show, but it's one that I am happy they're releasing weekly. I've said it before. It allows me to anticipate the next episode, kind of ingest what I just saw and enjoy it, versus when I've binged other shows and hit them all in a single night, and I'm just like, yep, that was good, and I'm already on to the next thing. Anyhow, so Turkey Murder Day went good. Some Beat Saber playing to relieve some of the pressure on my gut, which I actually think worked. I felt pretty good after that. But then I did have to go to bed because I had to work the next day to make up for that snow day that I had on Tuesday. Over the weekend, some other things that were not so geek as it were, is I have been presented with a challenge to do some photography for a friend of a friend. One of my friends who's a photographer who used to be in the area but then eventually had to go back home. He had a friend who had seen basically like an Instagram or some other post of a gal in front of some artwork on the street downtown Denver. They have an area of town that I don't know what's officially called, but in the Rhino area, which is River North, in downtown Denver, they have a whole region of it where they accept and kind of celebrate street art in the form of graffiti art or general painting and wall art and things like that. So most of the buildings down in this area have some kind of vibrant artwork that's been put up there. Most of it, like I said, spray paint type art. And she had seen, apparently on somebody's Instagram or something, their social media post, a backdrop of the person took a selfie in front of or such, this really neat little mural on the back wall. And so I was tasked to try to go find that specific piece of artwork and get some really nice photos of it for my friend of a friend, so that they could have a version of that, some capturing of that art piece. So I did. I decided I was fairly free yesterday morning after playing games and such and kind of doing a few little things around the house that I ventured downtown. Unfortunately, I hadn't really... I hadn't given myself or paid enough attention to the weather, because while it had snowed on Monday night into Tuesday, it's been cold enough over the last week that the snow has not gone anywhere, like I said earlier. In my area, not so bad. There's some of the streets here that still have some ice on it, but they're all very passable. And the main streets are all totally plowed and clean and good. Unfortunately, downtown, that is not the way it is handled there. When I got down to Rhino, it was just like packed ice throughout the downtown area. And so I was going to park and wander through some of the alleys and around the buildings to look for the artwork. I decided, since it was still about mid-20 degrees out, not to, as it was below freezing and the wind had picked up. I was already a little uncertain because I had got my camera set up, charged the battery and everything, got my tripod, things out, had gotten my little gotcha for Pokemon Go so I could wear that as I was walking around. Best laid plans. Unfortunately, with that cold and wind, I figured until I found the mural, I wasn't going to get out of my car. So instead, I just kind of drove and intersected all of these various streets in all the different patterns I could. I went down multiple alleys because there are walls in the alleys that are decorated throughout. Saw a lot of phenomenal artwork, and I really do hope to go down there again and enjoy it, maybe get some good pictures of some of the other artwork that's down there. Unfortunately, I did not find at all the specific mural that I was tasked to go look for. I don't know how often things are painted down there, so I don't know if perhaps it had changed, had been painted over, something like that. We were not sure either, my friend who commissioned me or asked me to do it, nor myself, where exactly it took place. It was just labeled as being part of the general display that happens down there. And so I think I canvassed the area pretty darn good, but unfortunately I have yet to see it. And so I did not take pictures of it. I may try to put out some feelers for other people I know in the area to see if they've ever seen it and if they can help point me in the direction, or if anyone else has. I'm trying to figure out if there's some better way or some documented thing that shows where all the artwork is down there, because I'd love to go find that one, try to fulfill this quest. Challenges that also came up with it, maybe for better or not over the end, is I had gotten all the things put together and thought I was great to go, was down there ready to take photos, didn't find it, maybe for the best, because when I got home after failing the quest to actually look for it, I came in and was settling at my computer, looked over, and I noticed I had a couple of my compact flashcards sitting on my table from when I had shot the wedding. And I realized I don't think I ever put that memory card back in my camera. Went, checked it, sure enough, had not. So maybe it was good I didn't find it, because if I had and then went to go take a photo, got all set up and went to click it and said no card in there, I might have been even a little more frustrated with myself. So that was a thing. Other than that, I also, because of those icy roads, I was trying, and this is, I guess, the moniker or the joke that goes out there saying no good deed goes unpunished. I was coming up to an intersection of one of the main roads, and there were people waiting to cross, and there had been enough traffic going that I was like, oh, I'll just slow down and let them go. And so as I slowed down, I stopped, was like waving them across, like, no, go ahead. I'll wait. And then I saw, and I don't know if I registered it just quite in time, but I saw their eyes get a little big, and they looked at me, and they did not cross. And I was like, looking at them like, oh, go ahead. And then I looked up just in time to see the bumper of a car behind me as it came forward and basically slid right into me. And boom, I got rear-ended sitting there trying to be nice downtown. Thankfully, I said thankfully, it's all ice. I believe they were trying to slow down, the guy that was driving, because it wasn't fast, but I got bumped. Boom. And we pulled over the side, checked things out. I didn't see any visible damage. I didn't see any on theirs. I looked at it from the back real quick. I think it's fine. I haven't gotten really checked since. But I chalked it up, said, okay, no harm, no foul, continue on the day. But there was a moment there like, man, teach me to try to, make time for some pedestrians to get, heading off further, to give them some, a good go-ahead versus me just being a driver and saying, screw it, I've got the right of way. Anyhow. So that all happened. That was all that adventure. No success. Thankfully, I don't think no bad in the worst part of it. So more just a day out that happened. And no, I didn't get any picture, didn't take pictures of the accident or anything like that because, like I said, it was fine. It was fine. Other than that, so wanted to talk about the shopping and such. I mentioned that Ken and Kitten Features are out doing that themselves right now. And I believe they were looking for a bedroom set or something so that they wouldn't have to continue to sleep on the air mattress and probably other things. But my question does go out to all of you. Did you find anything really compelling that you had to spend your hard-earned credits on this holiday shopping season? For me, I really didn't. I struggled. Maybe it's because I tend to have everything I need. I can say there's a whole lot of things I want. And of those wants, unfortunately, the older I've gotten, and maybe this is a challenge others have seen, those wants tend to get a little more expensive over time. As I find the little wants that I have here and there, I either just go get when I want them, or I hold off because I realize it's a want that I don't really need in any way, and it's not really that big deal, so I just don't bother. So I didn't really find much. For me, personally, the things I came up with, really the main thing I did is I was able to get a couple rolls or a set of rolls of 3D print filament that I purchased. I picked up some other things that were just kind of project things I have in mind, some lighting stuff to kind of redo the lighting around my house for Christmas and stuff like that, for the holiday lights and things. I keep wanting to do individual addressable LED strips so I can do patterns and things versus just color ones that I've had up there for some time now. So I caught a couple things to kind of play with and stuff like that, but not a whole much beyond that. I got the best deal I guess I got was a set of filaments for 3D prints where another friend of mine who I'd gotten into 3D printing has been doing a lot of stuff recently. He mentioned that he found Hatchbox stuff on there for under $20. Normally about $22 to $25. They were selling a lot of it for about $16, or 17, 18, I think, per kilogram, which is not bad, a few bucks off. I did find, and I took a risk, it's a brand that I've not ever worked with before, but on them, and let's see, if I look at my past orders here, there's a group, and it's supposed to arrive tomorrow, we'll see. It's a company called Overture, and they sell filaments, and this one, it'll be really interesting. I know, I'm looking at it again, I didn't realize these are PETGs. We'll see how these work. But they had a deal going where they sold 6 spools for $60. So that's $10 a spool, which is really close to half price of what I normally get. And in this case, not huge difference, but they were selling this bundled package they have for the $60, which is about $12 cheaper than they normally do. The other piece, and so I don't know if I've ever worked with Overture, so that'll be part of it. It'll be interesting to see. Also, being that's PTG, we'll see how well that prints compared to the PLA that I normally print. They also offered, and I'm not sure exactly what the sheets are like, but 6 build plate sheets, and so I'm assuming it's kind of like an off-brand version of a build tack, a 200 by 200 millimeter set. And so I looked at it. If nothing else, I'm always happy to check out new filaments for printing. I've got projects in mind, and so if I find one of these I really like, I may order some more and do a bunch with that. So we'll see. That was one thing I got. Like I said, I've got some other orders I had made earlier for items to fix and upgrade my printers and things like that, but really nothing on sale. And I've been looking through like the Amazon sales lists as one of the big providers. I've been looking through the site I love, techbargains.com, to see. And I'm not saying there's no sales. There are. But I think it's all a matter of what it is you're looking for. Because for me, other than I would love a replacement monitor for this beast, because this 56-inch ISO monitor is awesome, but it's not a gaming monitor, which is primarily what I do, and it is admittedly too big for my darn desk. Having it sitting here at 56 inches is ridiculous for as close as I sit. It's pretty. I mean, it does have some cancer in it that keeps changing, and so it's not immaculate, but I love that it's calibrated. It works well for my photos, things like that, and so I've been really going. You've heard me for months talking about wanting new tech, and I found one monitor that was like that to what I want. In fact, it is pretty much everything I want, except it doesn't have the new standard for DisplayPort or HDMI. It's still the previous, but I will give credit. Is it Acer, I believe? It's either Acer or Asus. I want to say it's Acer that make a 43-inch 4K monitor that is gameable. It's 120 hertz. I'm trying to think all the details on it. There's going to be a lot of versions, so it'll be hard to find the one I was actually speaking to. Regardless, they have one out there. The problem is it cost like $1,200. Now, I did find it on sale at the candy store at Micro Center, and they have it locally. They had two in stock for $9.99 or so, basically for $100 off. But I also realize that I am not in a position where I can really just go out and spend $1,000 on a monitor compared to other big expenses I may choose to do instead. So I'm trying to weigh my purchases. But it does 120 hertz at 4K. Yes. At 8-bit HDR. If you run 10-bit, you have to overclock it, or I'm not sure if it can. I don't really think the 8 to 10 bits really matters, but it's using that over the DisplayPort 1.4, maxing out its bandwidth. And I like that. 43 inches means it would be 13 inches smaller than this monitor, which for most people who review the monitor, they say it's amazing, but it's too big for them. For me, I'm one of those weird ones who think because I'm going from 56 to 43 would actually make it reasonable for me. It maybe fit in a way I'd be comfortable with, but I'd like it as an actual monitor because then I'd actually be able to switch modes instead of this one, which is dual DVI, and therefore it only runs 4K. Because now I can't full screen any games unless they're able to handle 4K, and admittedly at 56 inches, sitting this close to it full screen is a bit nauseating in a lot of games I like to play. So this monitor, I play everything windowed mode, which takes a significant hit on performance. Anyhow, so I found the one, tempting. I never got to the point where I know I'm serious about something, where it was in my cart, but I did look at it multiple times and went back and forth and was like, would be interesting. So I did not. But I looked at a bunch, and that's kind of it. I look at some of the stuff on Amazon about their Echo Dots and shows and stuff. They're selling for like half price, but I don't feel a need for any of that in my life right now. I don't know. And nobody told me any, like last year, my family and I remarked because there were some amazing deals that came out that weren't intended. There were a lot of things that someone had screwed up in how they were programming the sales to launch for Black Friday sales on Amazon, and they ended up listing some very expensive products for $99. Famously, we saw it was some like $10,000 camera lens that got listed for $99, or it might have, it was either $6,000 or $10,000 lens. And we saw orders where a good like 100 people bought it before they were able to shut it down and adjust the price properly. And in doing so, they apparently got them ordered for $100. There was several different camera equipment things. So I did go look a little bit, but there was nothing that popped up, so I don't think anyone did any errors this time, darn it. Nothing for me to take advantage of. At least nothing I've heard about yet. Maybe there'll still be some fallout afterwards. I didn't see any amazing deals on like graphics card. There was maybe $10-20 off on some RAM deals I was curious about. Would have been an opportunity to get silly and get myself up to like 64 gigs of memory. That'd have been cool. But did not, so I didn't pull the trigger on any of those kind of things. And we still have Cyber Monday tomorrow to go for shopping, so check that out. Now, I will say, along with this, there is still the autumn sale going on Steam with a lot of things on discount. I just suffer from I've purchased most games that I'm ever going to play already, and so discounts aren't helpful. And I see them now, and I have to ask myself the question before I buy even discounted games, when do I see myself actually playing this game? If I can't answer that within the next 30 days or so, my theory is I can't buy it. I better wait until I finish more games and then get back to it and find it on sale in the future. And so I have been trying to keep myself from just adding to my digital collection of licenses for games to try to focus on games I'll actually play. But if you are looking for additional games, you got Steam sale going, you got the GOG sale going, GOG. Humble Bundle's got some things going on. And so there are places to go do some good game shopping if you want to do that for digital games right now. I will give that one out for people and say check those out. But I think that is primarily what I was looking for when it came to Black Friday. I'll still look tomorrow, Cyber Monday, see if there's anything I'm missing. If there's anything I kind of give in and say that's what I'm doing, I might do it. Because the other thing I'm trying to decide this year based on big purchases, and I can justify that one purchase that nears $1,000 or something and try to figure out how to get it all paid for and such. The other one I'm contemplating is maybe one that invests more in me physically this year, is I have a lot of friends and people I work around who are planning to go do a lot of skiing this season. And here in Denver, they've over the years, the ski passes have adjusted so much. But essentially, it's worthwhile if you do ski more than probably 6-7 times in a season to go get a season pass. When I first got here and was military, God, I was spoiled. I was able to get a season pass for a thing like Keystone for a single slope for something like $250 or $200 or something like that, and I'd be able to ski all season for it, and it was totally worth it. Now, being I'm not military, that I'm a veteran but not active, I don't get that anymore. I will still say that active military still gets some darn good deals. They have what is currently the big pass locally, the Epic Pass, the military is able to get for $100. If I had been aware of it earlier in life, when the sales were going on several months ago, I probably could have gotten saved myself a couple $100. But the one that everybody has, the Epic Pass, which hits, I think, 5 or 6 different slopes locally throughout the season, as well as some others over non-prime time, is like $750 or $760. Which, I remember when skiing was like, I remember back in the day when I could get a day pass for $50 or less. Anyhow, now those places like $120 or something for even a discounted ticket price. A lot of these slopes are up in the range of almost $200 for a day. So if I were to get a season pass and go basically 5-6 times, I'd be good. And I'd be doing it. So I'm trying to decide, that might be my big one purchase of the year, is getting myself a ski pass and then just committing myself to spending at least 6 or 7 days this season, which should not be that hard, up skiing. And so that may be it as well. That one I'll say is actually sitting in a tab on my browser in a cart where all I have to do is say purchase. So that is closer to Wayne's like multiple step process of actually making big purchases. All right, so that's why I have to say that. 10 and 15, let's see, it says, I haven't bought a single thing during Black Friday week/Friday in the last 2 months of the year is an overkill at my job at various companies trying to spend with us all of their spare funds. Let's see. You'll go shopping spree in January. For now, you are too tired and to even want things. I wish I was that strong or that worked out, because I am always in the mood to buy new shiny things. Always. It is a addiction and bad thing. Like, I had a moment the other day sitting there. I don't know if I was sitting in my office. I think I was. I was sitting here, I think, when I was playing one of the games I'll talk to in the next section, hanging out, doing various things on the computer where I spend most of my time. And I kind of stopped and did this projection out looking, or just thinking about my property that I own, that I have bought, this house that I built. And I was looking through it like, you know what? I own a lot of crap. And I think maybe this came back from knowing that Ken and Kitten Features migrated, or at least Ken migrated and Kitten Features came back to the United States with each basically a suitcase and a dog, each of them. So they're both their dogs and 2 suitcases is like their entire life they brought over and what they now have. And they're having to, now that they have a location in Michigan, build up from kind of scratch again. I looked around going like, dang, that would take me some time. But then I have to say, I've been purchasing and building things and still have stuff in my house that I've had for over 20 years. So I've been doing this over time. It wasn't like an overnight thing. But I had to stop and give myself a little recognition of like everything that I do have. And that maybe that helped me with the Joneses is about not needing to keep up and not needing to buy a bunch this holiday season. With that in mind, though, that I will say the smart people who go out shopping do it and use the sales to like buy gifts that they're going to give to friends and family. I'm going to be different this year and won't say it because my friends and family tend to listen. Where gifts from me this year will probably be less thought out, I will admit, because I haven't spent as much time with folks in my family as I would have liked, and therefore do not necessarily have a inside line on what it is my nephews and nieces are all into this year. So I may have a bit of a different approach for that this year. Simple, but gotcha. We'll see. But so we'll see. Maybe I'll get a ski pass. Probably will get a ski pass. Likely we'll get a ski pass. Might want to do a lot of skiing this year. We'll see. Help work off this belly with Beat Saber and skiing. All right. So that's what I've got going on that's not been geek this week. So as I transition over for a little bit of...
I'm a geek. Are you a geek? Geek Cred, level up!
And to start things off, because thank you very much, my friend Hando, for sending an email in at showx@vtwproductions.com. It says, Steam Sale Cred is the subject, and goes, Hey, X-Men, Doc. Finally picked up a game that has been on my wish list for quite some time now, Opus Magnum. It's a puzzle game set in Imperial England where you play an alchemist learning how to do transmutations. It's unlike any other game I've seen. It's a little hard to describe. Probably best to show a video of it. I also picked up City Skylines, have been pretty satisfied with it. Okay, Hando. See, that's one of those games that I will tell you, I continue to see hit my Steam sale list, and that they're selling it for more. I don't know, a frugal shopper, if I want to say in a positive light. I look for sales, and I mostly just ignore sales that aren't at least 50% off. I look for the ones that are 50 or more, 50, 60, 75, and in the rare case, like 95% off. Because then I'm like, oh, $5? Yeah, gotcha, or something, and things like that. Done. But City Skylines, I haven't played a city builder game in a long time, and I've always enjoyed them. Back to the original SimCity type games. And I've heard good things about Skylines. And so seeing it, I think the Steam sale was somewhere under $8 right now. Real tempted. But it hit my filters of when am I going to play it? And since it's not on a current, I said, well, I will hold off then. And I just think I had a bunch of snow fall off my roof or something. I heard like dun 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 dun, maybe. Yeah. Either that or it's cats running around amok. So we'll see. You let me know how good it is. The nice thing is that's another one I've seen go on sale multiple times. And so I may just hold back and wait till I'm lacking of a game to play and then wait for it to go on sale again and jump on it then. All right. You continue by saying, the only thing that bugs me is the base pacing is quite fast and feels like you have to make panic decisions so that your population doesn't move away and or trash you on Twitter. Damn trolls. That's all for now. Your pal Hando. That's funny. I haven't played it. I haven't watched many videos of it. The ones I've seen have just shown like the city expand and grow, and so it looks quite interesting. But just let me know. Let me know how that is. Again, I have so many games on the list that for me, I don't know when or how I'm going to get to them myself. All right, so Geek Cred time. What else do I got going on? So I will continue to say that I have been watching more of The Mandalorian and his Dark Materials, my two weekly released shows currently that I kind of wait bated breath for each time. Mandalorian continues to... I'm enjoying it. I continue to enjoy it. I did not pay attention to a lot because I hadn't watched it before. A couple of my friends started posting their thoughts on it, so I kind of glossed over and I don't remember. But I saw like John posting it and such like that. And the one piece I did note from what he said, or it might have been he or his wife Beck, said was that the last episode 4, had serious dad vibes, I guess is what they had said, or close to that as a description. And yeah, I'll be very curious to see where they continue with the series and how it goes on. I've enjoyed every episode so far. I think it's pretty. Oh man, the HDR on it looks so good. So that's one that I'm still enjoying. Right now, this last episode especially, I didn't feel the depth. I thought they spoke to a couple more things about Mandalorian culture, which I appreciated. But then I also thought they kind of were loosey-goosey with one of the key things about Mandalorian lore, in the sense that they discuss it in that episode about not taking off the armor for any instance in front of anybody. And they kind of speak to it a little more. But then they show one scene where it's like, I just talked about this, and then things happen, assuming nobody sees, but it still seemed like too much of a risk for the way it is essentially like a religious type aspect of their culture, their way, that I thought that was a little loosey-goosey. Say it that way. I have been impressed enough by it, and I do like the look of it enough that I've gone out searching for more 3D print models, and I've found some interesting ones for like the Mandalorian's helmet and his main blaster and the big gun he's got, the big rifle. So I may be on some printing binges here shortly to do some of that myself. The challenge I have is that the model I found for the helmet was good. I found like 3 or 4 free ones finally. There's one paid set, but the guy's trying to sell like this modeling for, I believe, all the armor pieces included, for somewhere like $200 something for the model, which is more than I'm willing to pay at the moment. I'd have to look at his licenses, because I will admit the other people's, their licenses specifically say this is just for personal use and not for anything commercial. So I'll have to look what the other guy says for his, because once you start printing things like that, if someone sees a prop you've printed, they're like, I want one, and you ain't doing that for free. But let's see. So I love the look of it. The models I found, unfortunately, aren't, like, for me, the cosplay setup is being as accurate as possible now that the series is out. And admittedly, a lot of these shots were made from quick screens from before. They're, darn my precision for accuracy. The biggest thing that's causing me issue right now is the back of the helmet has a pattern on it that has essentially multiple kind of skull, or not skull, what are they? Ridges that are kind of scaled over each other. In fact, I will show you a version of the model and what I'm having an issue with. And so as I go to, and what? Oh wait. Oh, does not that not come up? Oh no. Interesting. It is not letting me share, or is that just my display as a whole is not showing up? Oh, it's not. Weird. So prior to the show, when I'd set this tab up, it worked great. But apparently, in me tweaking with things, it no longer wants to share the desktop properly. I was going to show Mesh Mixer. I'll have to know that because I was going to show a few other things. Darn it. And in it, I wonder, maybe I can add just the specifics. I hate doing this live while I'm in the show, but we'll see. Will it let me do a quick window capture of this? Let's see. I'm going to do Mesh Mixer and see if I can bring this in, because I would like to show it to show you what I am struggling with. Boom. There. Got it. Cool. All right. So, and let's just drop that right there. So, Mesh Mixer, you can see that I've got this model in here. That is the Mandalorian's helmet, which I'm a big fan of, right? This all looks really good. Some question about whether the side details are as big and out there as they should be. Got some question about that. The part that I'm struggling with is this back region. And you can see it's cut off because I've actually been cutting this model apart to try to figure out how best to do this. But this section highlighted right here, the problem is, this is nitpicky, I know. But these ridges, while they look really good, and that's probably exactly, the shape of them from where I've gotten some screen caps I've looked at, in my opinion, they're too wide. It actually is a little thinner on the helmet, and it's like one rung taller, where this has 6 instead of the essentially full 5 that this one shows. And so I'm trying to decide how big a deal that is to me. And that's where I was looking. Could I cut this out? Can I adjust these and fix it to make it look better? Because admittedly, I don't think I have the skills to model this whole thing myself with all the details they have. And so I'm trying to figure out what's best for me to do something to make that work. But it just sucks. I think that's the cosplayer in me, the detail where it is so well done and so much better than most I've seen. But this one detail, I would love to see a little better. Anyhow, it's still really cool. And I've seen some really neat models out there from it. So that I'm still enjoying that. The other one, His Dark Materials, that show, I am enjoying it. It's continues to be fanciful and wonderful in that way. The fourth episode, it finally takes place back as the storyline has been going in the North. And so you get introduced to a few new characters and some more plot points. I think you learn some more details about the main antagonist in it as a gal. Not so much yet I figure her motivation so much as she just does some things that are a little more, in my opinion, dastardly that I see and I'm like, ooh, there are reasons you're supposed to not like this character. And she kind of showcases some of them there. So that was interesting. Appreciated that. I'm really liking it. And they introduced one of my favorite actors as well with his character. Did they show him at all prior to this? This episode showed a little more. I don't want to spoil it for people who are wanting to see it, but one of the actors I was excited to have come into the show, as well as some of the other characters, did in the fourth episode. And so, looking forward to that one. Whereas, I could tell, like, it's weird. The Mandalorian I'm seeing in 4K HDR is beautiful. With His Dark Materials, I'm seeing in 1080p, based on its feed, and it's pretty, but it's so much different when you don't see the HDR. It's weird. But so it depends on what system you have, and me having access to an OLED to watch it on makes a big difference for dynamic range. Big. But liking both of those and just kind of sitting back where those are my, essentially those are my Friday, Saturday night, like waiting to sit down and watch shows. And so I'm hoping others of you will get out there and watch it. Hando, I can't wait for you to catch up with it so we can have discussions. I know there's been a lot of thoughts when it comes to lore, especially with The Mandalorian and in the Star Wars universe, and especially as the next Star Wars film is set to come out this month. In fact, in 20-ish days? I forget if it's 15th or 22nd or somewhere like that, that the last of the Star Wars, or of this Skywalker series is supposed to be in theaters. And so we'll see what's going on with that. I did see a meme recently that I chuckled at, but thought was about right, where it's one of the, various iterations of memes of look back and, someone looking at the next thing versus paying attention to what they've loved in the past. And this one's saying that, everybody had been hyped about Episode 9 coming out, but then The Mandalorian hit and everyone's in love with that now and kind of even ignoring or not as worried about what Episode 9 will bring. So I'll be curious to see how that translates as it goes forward. So looking forward to that one. Like I said, both those shows have been great. I still continue to watch all of the episodes of Hot Ones on YouTube. I recommend everyone does. Best interview show on the planet, and the host there is brilliant. Man, their research team is good. Everyone who comes on says he's a great host, and it's one of those things that even I will admit I would love to do something big enough that I could be interviewed on his show. I would fail because those hot wings would destroy me, but I'd be all over wanting to be on that show. All right, on to more gaming information about what I've been up to. Big shout out and thanks to Hando, as well as to my compatriot Ken, for getting us into and playing more of Dying Light. Because this is a game that had been out for some time. In fact, I don't know the release date of it, but it's been a couple years now, especially since Dying Light 2 is announced and is still in pre-order. But Dying Light, for those who don't know, is basically a zombie game and taking place in a fictional city space where they are infected, essentially zombies. And it's fun because you have the entire kind of dynamic of multiple types of zombies, things that have been inspired from movies, from other games, from classic lore where you have your shambling zombies that barely move to your sprinter zombies here and there that actually get focused on you and come at you hard. I think they're officially zombies that are barely churned, so they still have some mind and a lot of aggression, where the other ones are significantly like zombified where they're just there. You have big zombies that are kind of like it's kind of cool, some of the lore matches for areas in the city that things would have happened and where zombies kind of congregate in different types. But you have some specific ones with like firemen zombies, construction worker zombies that have big like sledge type things to hit you with. You have we've seen police zombies with batons and stuff like that. Hazmat zombies, so people that came in there in suits that carry tanks on the back, you hit them and they explode if you're not careful, to actual boomer zombies that I think, what are they officially called? Because I keep calling them boomers, but they're not. copyright and such. So they're like bomber zombies or something like that, like really close, but not the same. To at night having the whatever zombies those are. I forget the crazy kill you very quick zombies at night that are big and awful that are so allergic to daylight that you'll find them during the day in dark areas like tunnels and underground, and then during the night they come out of those areas, which is a great mechanic where those areas that normally you would not go into become safer at night because they're out in the world. Yeah, like nice Hando, the splody zombies, whatever they're officially called. I don't know if that is it or not. I actually don't recall. But the game's fun. It gives you some levels of, because it is actiony. It's also parkour because it's almost like you want to take a Left 4 Dead and mix it with Mirror's Edge and mix it with a Borderlands in the sense that there's lots of different weapons that have not so much pick up anywhere, but a lot of the same kind of weapons. Maybe it's more Zelda type. They got, because weapons will wear out over time from use, and once they damage, if you have the base materials for them, you can repair them a certain number of times. They all have their own stats on them where how much damage they do, how many repairs they can take, and then how many upgrade slots and such you can have, because you can also put modifiers on them that are things that you'll get from, I'm trying to imagine another game example of, but where it'll give it more durability, more handling, or more damage, depending on what modifier you put on it. As well as it's got general crafting skills. It's got a skill tree that to me is kind of Borderlands-esque in that you have 3 main skill trees that you can open up things as you do different actions in game. It has an element that you get your experience from the actions you do in game, kind of like old-fashioned Morrowind. It's got a lot of good gaming elements from a bunch of different genres of games, all brought into this very action-paced parkour zombie game. It is initially somewhat a survival game because you're put in as the role of a runner who is meant to be one of those few people with enough athleticism to chance running around in the world. Kuro, this one's Dying Light. In fact, as I'm talking, oh no, I won't be able to share it because it's not doing the thing. Darn it! I was going to say I could play a video of it otherwise. But it allows you to just run around, action off of, you can go from fisticuffs against zombies, which I do not recommend, to kicks, to drop kicks, to, in some of the, I forget if it's the agility ones or which of the trees, but where you start getting effects you can do with each of those. Things like you can slide, you get the ability to run and slide and keep running so that you can get under certain obstacles, to sliding, and if you go by someone, kick them and break their leg, to drop them faster, to earning things like finishing moves on zombies where if you get, or anyone, if you get them knocked onto the ground and you target their head and then kick it, that you stomp, basically curb stomp their head to end them instantly, to eventually open up like stealth kills from the back, all these things in agility, to being able to run by and elbow a zombie real quick as you and get them off you faster, to leaping over them. There's just so many things you get in the game for different skills and stuff you open up that's really cool. And so it starts at more of a, oh crud, everything that's happening around you. You have to run, hide, get away. You can't go one-on-one with some of the worst zombies. Initial ones are okay, but then even then, basic zombies, you can get to a point where you're just knocking them left and right. Thank you, Hando. Good to know. If it's on sale right now for 60% off. And by the way, it's multiplayer co-op with, what is it, 4 people? Or is it more than that? We've only ever done, I think, 3 or 4. I don't know if it actually handles more than that. And I think it's 4, and you can do it both public game where anybody can jump in and join your game, which I actually had a lot of people do, and they were generally very nice and helpful, to private games where you can just invite your own friends in and play with that, because for us it's been Hando, Ken and I playing together and have been having a lot of fun. And it's great because even when people are perhaps overpowered because of the weapons and things they've got hold of, you're never truly overpowered. In a situation where you may have what seems like a really good weapon, really good melee weapon, and you're taking on zombies, and then a horde just keeps coming around you because if you make too much noise or things like that, they'll attract more. If there's a ton of zombies, I don't care how good a weapon you have, it may be time to bail, right, to exit the situation and try to parkour out of there. Because one comes up behind you, gets hold of you, and that might be the end of it, puts you down. And so it's got such good elements. It's got the open world type of elements where you get to kind of go and take missions in whatever order you want with the main quests and a bunch of side quests and repeatable quests. I'm starting to realize exactly how many good mechanics they pulled from like every game out there that I didn't appreciate. And this is something that I didn't know about the game other than I'd seen some initial things about, oh, it's a parkour zombie game, cool. But that we've been playing it, I've been really enjoying. And it goes everything from you need to deliver stuff on quests to you need to go scour and find things to you need to go rescue someone to kill all the zombies in an area. They have little mini quests in it where you get to open up parts of the map that you can go to any time. But even there, hey, Hando, that's cheating. That's a later day thing that I'll get to. But that you go in their safe houses. You start in a building that is a safe house where they have guards always posted, to you start going in the world where there's other people and there may be zombies there initially. And once you clear it out and close the gates and turn on power and stuff like that, it becomes a safe zone. Because they also have a day-night cycle in the game where during the day you have basic zombies out there and the partially turned runners as well as the various types. But then at night you have the really violent, will kill you quick, super fast, and agile zombies that having safe zones to either choose to get past the night or day, where you can sleep in a sleeping bag and get it to the beginning of the next day or night cycle, or that you can just get into for a moment, recover, and then go out in the world again, is such a cool mechanic. And as you open up a lot of these areas, they also have quest givers and additional story elements and side quests and things like that. It's surprisingly robust. In fact, I have just gotten far enough in the storyline that I got to the next city over, where it was somewhere that we had started the first time we got multiplayer together with Hando when Ken and I jumped in, and it's essentially the second main city, which I will tell you I should look at my Steam list, because with it I am, let's see, library, and where am I at? That is not what I was looking for. Dying Light. I am how many hours in? 22 hours into the game now, and I've only been in the new area less than an hour. So I spent a solid 20 hours in the first city, and I didn't do all the side quests. In fact, I slow rolled going the main quest because you could probably get to that city pretty quick. Thankfully, I didn't, because I leveled up enough to, yes, Hando, get the grappling hook, which changes the game significantly. And this is where it changes, like, as you level up, it goes from that kind of survival horror game to a little bit more action horror game to eventually where I'm at now. It feels, God, it's got such the good progression where I now feel generally strong enough to take on most situations, but every once in a while I'll still get myself dead where I didn't take my time. I tried to go too fast, or there was a quest where it's like the mechanics of it are tough enough that it's kind of like, oh no, that is completely different. And I like because they introduce different elements in the game in a smart way that you start learning as you move up what you're able to do, where you're able to access and go. And in doing so, even opens up the game further. And a big part of that being the grappling hook, which just makes mobility easy. But but everything's balanced. Everything's balanced. Because like the grappling hook, you start using it, but you only get essentially 3 casts of it before it has to go on cooldown. And there's a lot of things that end up going on cooldown. Your sprinting ability, you can only run so far, although I swear you run so much in the game, you should be able to get a marathon award for it, where eventually you should be able to run longer. You do get more stamina from other actions, but I think it's the top tier when you're level 25 in each one that makes you a hero class in it. And when you get that, you get like, now you can do everything continuously or significantly longer. But using power moves tires your stamina. Running tires your stamina. Trying to do leaps while you're climbing or leaping in general does it. And so they'll suddenly slow you down where if it hits you at the wrong time, you'll get mobbed by zombies and might die. Thankfully, you respawn at different save points, which are those safe zones. So you may be not too far from where you were, but still annoying. Gosh, and just so much going on with the game. I'm giving a huge thumbs up. And knowing it's on sale, I'll also give it a huge recommend, in the sense that if you don't have Dying Light, you might want it. If you're into it, any of those game elements I mentioned, you might want to check it out. I both enjoyed playing with multiple people, because even having Hando jump into my game and Ken, when they're further ahead, they didn't break the game. It just made it where we were able to get to certain areas faster in some cases, but we could all still fail just as quick. And there's some hiccups to the game and some elements that are frustrating. There's some parkour elements that are just like, are you kidding me? Ken and I had a moment. I kind of wish I was streaming it because I got so frustrated with a task climbing a certain area. Where you make one wrong move or jump just wrong, you fall to your death, and even though he'd come pick me up multiple times, you had to make it all the way through to get this thing done, and oh man, that pissed me off. But when I did, there was accomplishment there. And they even gave me certain aspects story-wise and others that were accomplishments. Some of the story being told by both the side characters of main are truly entertaining. Some things are horrific. Some people are arses. Some people are just hilarious. And things like that. And so there's a lot going on in the game that I've enjoyed. I started streaming at one point, Kuro, but it got really glitchy on me. I don't know if it was just I need to reboot my computer at the moment or something was on. Because I've also had a moment with Dying Light where I'd get a floaty mouse, something weird. I'm not sure, and I was starting to try to attribute it to my Tobii X because Dying Light does support eye tracking, which I had reset up. And so I'm thinking it might have grabbed the cursor or done something, but it was doing it in such a way when I last tried to stream it that I was just like, nope, this isn't working. As well as at one point it was jumping on the stream way more where in the game it was perfectly smooth. So there was some optimization I got to figure out before I feel good about streaming it. But I may do some more because it's been fun. And that's something that I think the last couple weeks, Ken and I and Hando have been playing after the show or whenever we're all there. So nothing else. Check out some clips of it. But yeah, I might do some more Dying Light. It's been a good time. Alrighty. Other stuff. So I talked about Beat Saber a little bit. I have been playing a lot of that lately. It's crazy because Beat Saber is fun. Ever since I started talking VR, and sorry, I'm also looking for a music break song as I'm doing this. But ever since I started getting VR, and there's certain games I've enjoyed over the years, things like The Climb, I think is just a great one. Space Pirate Trainer is a great game. To the Oculus, some of the Oculus specifics. They're oh gosh, what's the one with the robot one? Robot Rumble, Robot Riot, whichever one of that is really good. Like Space Pirate Trainer, where it's all the shooting game ones. Some great VR that's out there. So Beat Saber to me was like the natural progression. And I've seen where they've done other rhythm type games to VR. In fact, I want to get Dance Central because I loved it on Xbox until they went to the freaking Xbox One and the Kinect 2, and then the one they released didn't continue, and so it's basically a dead platform now. Xbox One, if you were ever to do a backwards compatibility thing, do it to the original 2 freaking versions of Dance Central. I still have my Kinect. I still have an Xbox. I want to play them, and Dance Central Kinect 2 version, whatever online purchase everything separate one, is garbage compared to those first 2. And I have the content for the first 2. I should be able to play those. Everything should be backwards compatible. Companies stop making things terrible like that. It's easy to emulate. All right, sorry. Mini rant. But Beat Saber is one of the best rhythm games I've run into. Not only are you going to play some of the best songs that you're out there are just fun, the way it captures your hands and head in the game to kind of do multiple actions is just so well done. So I finally started playing it some more recently. To tell you, I'm a big fan of the modding and what happens with the modding community in it. So I've been doing a bunch of different songs as well. But since they've added in 1.5 the campaign and some other stuff, even the regular base game is so good. It's just fun, but also works in a way that you feel accomplishment for getting things done. I'm kind of amazed with how much better I am at songs now than I was when I first started playing it. Where there were songs when I play on hard even, and I wouldn't touch expert because I'd just be like, my brain cannot process this fast enough. Where now, as I've been playing it recently, I'm kind of like, I got this one. This one's that bad. And I'm crushing songs. And so the only reason I'm actually losing notes on songs is tracking issues because of my setup and the original Oculus Release 1 that I have that uses the outward in tracking, where I kind of believe now with the new Oculus and the inward out tracking would probably be even easier to do. But it's been fun. It's been fun. If I can continue to figure out how to make it not hiccup while I'm playing, and especially when I'm streaming, I'll do more of that. Although I also need to figure out, because I lost somewhere in the modding community, I need to go back and read up this, the custom avatars feature, because I have it set up where behind me virtually I have the camera looking down at where I'm playing so you can see kind of over the shoulder view. But right now it's just the sabers, and I lost the custom, and maybe it's just the current mods don't support it, or I have to find specific mods, but custom avatars and custom lightsabers, essentially, Beat Saber sabers. And so that part, it's fine, it still plays fine, it's just not as pretty as I liked, because I had some cool avatars that I like to play with it. Okay, as I get into that and I stop doing what I was about to do by finding a song. But I highly recommend, if you do have VR, I mean, Kuro, you know, you have it, that Beat Saber is just dang fun. And I have been using it recently as well, as I was saying, for to be able to stream for working out as a way to get my heart rate up. In fact, I did it this morning before the show to help wake me up. Is I said, you know what? Before I do this, I used to go run, but it's ice out, so screw that noise. Let me jump on some more Beat Saber, and let me actually play this. And I need more people to see my leaderboard verse, because some songs I've done surprisingly good at, and I'm proud of myself, and I have no one to gloat against. Well, I have a few people, but I don't know if they have the same modded songs. And so there's a few of those things I'm just like, man, I need more of this. All right, I think what I'll do for the break, and just because it's, this time of year, and I'm going to be the annoying one to start things out, is one of our old go-tos for some of our songs we like to stream that we know we are allowed to stream. So I will put something in there. We will take a break, and we will come back. The next thing that I was going to talk about is the other game I've been playing before I get into some news this week. Feel free during the break to email me in whatever Geek Cred you've been into, or if there's some article or thing in the news that's happened that you absolutely want me to cover and talk about that we can have a nice group discussion on, please email in during the break at showx@vtwproductions.com. I very much would love to hear from you. But with that, you're listening to ShowX, and we will be back right after this song. This one being an 8-bit remix for the holidays for Last Christmas. All right, everybody. Be back in about 2.5 minutes. Short one.
Send in your emails to showx@vtwproductions.com. You're listening to ShowX on VtWProductions.com.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. And yes, Kuro slash Relover, I am able to pick up both the cats, actually, to a degree. But, sorry, kitty update for those who saw real quick. Kitty on cam, that was Tetra. Midnight, I don't know where they're... Oh, no, Winda's in the window, it looks like. I can see her shadow here. I wonder... I was going to say, if I turn on the other camera, you might be able to see her shadow. But, kitty update. Since it's only me in the house, so I'm the only human, they have become more social. However, social time with kitties is limited to very specific locations in the house. So, in my office, They will each come up to me on occasion for pets. Tetra being the more... It's interesting, too, because they've each kind of set where their spots are. So the office is Tetra's, with Midna still there, but mostly secondary, where they'll come up and, like, Tetra will want attention. I'll be gaming, and I'll feel a paw on my arm or something like that, look over, and she's sitting there looking at me like, hey. It'll be down here where I'll just, like, lower an arm and scratch them while they're on the floor. Every once in a while, Tetra will actually try to get into my lap. Still very rare, but every once in a while she'll look at me and like jump in my lap, get scratches for a little bit and run. I think once or twice I've had her actually lay down and chill in my lap for a bit. Second location would be the couch. So when I'm watching TV, and only really when I'm laying down on the couch, sometimes when I'm sitting there, that's Midna's my primary spot, where Midna will come up and want scratches when I'm laying on the couch, especially if I'm under a blanket. At which point she'll just like be all over me for scratches. And Tetra will do secondary there, where if Midna's like laying on my next to me, Tetra will go and like lay down by my feet, kind of outside of scratch range, but there. And when I've napped on the couch, and I do it much more often now that I'm the only one in the house, I've had them both sleep with me on the couch with that for some level. When I go to bed, I still have to be careful. I only let them in my room when I am in the room and up and active, or when I go to bed. So neither of them will, mark my bed as they have in the past. And that is primarily Tetra's, where she will come and sometimes sleep with me. Primarily what it is for both of them is they just want to be in the room at about 5 in the morning each day to make sure I'm up so that I can go look at their food dish. And so they have made a morning routine with me where at like 5 o'clock, which admittedly is when my alarm goes off to get ready for the work in most days, they want to look at me and see that I'm up, get up with me. But like I said, I have to shoo them out of the room before I go get ready because I can't leave them unattended in the room. And then as soon as I open my door, they're both sitting at the top of the steps waiting for me like, hey. And then just to see that I'm alive, I guess. Because rarely is their food empty or stuff like that. So yeah, that is where I'm at currently in my cat status for an update for people. So it's no longer how long they can annoy me before I get ready to throw them out of the house. It is now more of a, let's see if we can slowly socialize them to the point where they allow other people around. They're usually cool if I have one guest over. The parties are still no-goes for them, and I have to build them a separate, like hideaway upstairs while there's parties on. And have to make sure I shoo Tetra out from under the couch so that she doesn't just stay hidden under there for 3 days. So that's an update for everyone on cats. All right. So as I continue the gaming discussion, and we'll take another drink here, which I will also comment on, I found a lovely combination of a beverage for the holidays. Where I'd mentioned it before, the pumpkin pie tea blend that I got from St. James Tea Room down in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Definitely a shout out to them and recommend anyone in the area go. That I combined after doing my Halloween party and getting some whipped cream vodka that I had in my possession for the cotton candy shots I made. I decided pumpkin pie tea with whipped cream vodka. What might that turn into? So talk about a pumpkin pie drink. It's quite nice. And you basically don't taste the alcohol other than that whipped cream flavor. It's so good. So cheers for the holidays. All right. So I had mentioned a little bit. I want to talk about a little more detail because it's one of those things that comes up on occasion when people talk about status of games, Kickstarters, stuff like that. And a lot of people have a lot of cynicism for things that are out there. I wanted to give an update on my experience with Star Citizen. Mostly because this is one of those games that it's still the highest grossing or whatever game ever for something that's been independently marketed and funded. And a lot of people keep talking about it as the game that will never come out. Well, CitizenCon just finished up over the last weekend. And they had a few new announcements of what the next builds will include. We're currently on 3.7.2, I believe, or 3.7.3 or 4, something like that. But the 3.7 series of updates right now in Star Citizen. And so they were talking about a little bit of what will be coming with Star Citizen 3.8 and as their plans into 3.9 and into 4 going forward. So the big thing that is coming out in, let's see, that's currently out there, and I'll talk about my experience, is they basically have the universe set up with multiple planets, or solar system, multiple planets, moons, stations. You get to now fly directly from space down to ground and take off again. There's no loading and stuff between jumping into cities to go then take a lift over to the hangar to get your ship, get in your ship, take off, fly off planet. Everything is persistent real world. You can do a quantum drive leap between planets of the system that can be couple million kilometers away from each other. I think the biggest leap I did right now was one end to the other was about 44 so million kilometers away from each other. Ran into where you can jump across and stuff like that. You can actually stop in the middle of a quantum drive anywhere in the universe and be in the middle of space and try to slow roll it, which I kind of had to do once or twice for various reasons. And it is all real space, so you can fly all 40 million kilometers if you wanted to from one side of the solar system to the other. Good luck. It's pretty. It's one that I can run in 4K if I choose to. I'm currently running it in windowed mode in a wide mode, and it looks fine. It's still a little jumpy for me. If you haven't checked it out for a while, one of the best recommendations I saw is, if it's been a few updates, to delete your cached settings, like your settings and your cache folders from your personal user directory, to allow the game to rebuild them with all fresh content. It does help with performance. They allow you to do shopping, stuff like that. All the Space Arena, or Arena Commander stuff where you can do... Oh, Star Marine. That's the part where you carry a sidearm, things like that on you as you run around. Tons of things you can do in the game now than just play through like a basic space combat thing. And so that's kind of cool. I've actually, let's see, in 373 or wherever we're at now, I completed my first mission ever, my first quest or whatever ever, where I accepted one and did it from one end to the other, and it worked. It was crazy. It actually worked. What else did I do? I had a mistake. I didn't realize there's a cool feature going on right now in that there's an Expo running. And in this Expo, they've done it over different days throughout the week, kind of leading up and going with CitizenCon. You could go in the main planet, ArcCorp or whatever, which is kind of like Coruscant in that it's a full-citied planet. And when you go to Area 18, which is I think the only one you can actually land at right now with the spaceport, go into Area 18, and it's kind of one of the main hubs they had first started working with, shops and things that are around there and some vendors and things that kind of give it some real-life feel. But they have these cool areas where there's like two different train depot areas you can get to from the main spot, and at one of them is where they have right now an expo running, which is basically a big convention center, and in it they're showing off different models of ships from different vendors on different floors of the expo. It's kind of cool. One of the things that come to find out is these ships are live in the sense that a lot of them you can run up, open them up, get inside, sit down, walk around and things like that to get a feel for the ships, and they're currently running a thing where you can rent any of the ships for free and then go into the game and just take off and fly with it, which is really cool, and I need to go take advantage of it more. In fact, I was off in the universe elsewhere that while I was doing the pre-show music, I got in my ship and flew back to 18 so that after the show or some point this week, hopefully before the rental stuff ends, I can go back to the showroom floor and rent a couple models to take out, see if there's anything I like. I highly recommend watching any of the feeds from CitizenCon on how they're playing and what they're trying to do with the game. For the single-player experience and some of the other stuff, there's some really neat concepts in there. They showed off for the new stuff about weather effects and how it'll affect you as your character, that you can get too warm, you can get too cold, and it can have ill effects to killing you in many cases if you don't have the right gear for it, that they're going to have specific costumes or armor sets and stuff like that that are tailored for different environments that'll be helpful and let you get through these things. Show a great kind of quest line showing how they did one of those. It's interesting. I as much as you've heard me like kind of rail about my excitement for Microsoft Flight, I forget the name of the next one is going to be, but basically 2020. But the next Microsoft Flight and how pretty that one is. Star Citizen's gorgeous. And I do want to try. We'll see if it'll let me do it here. I didn't close it, did I? I had photos set to scene. I may have accidentally closed them. And if that is the case, I will try to bring them up again real quick. But essentially, open location. There we go. Yeah, I'm going to try to see if I can share this. So give me a moment to, since the desktop share is not doing what it's supposed to do right now, let me turn that guy off. Yeah, see, the desktop share is not showing up how I'd like it to. So let's see if I can grab, where are you? This real quick, and I will call it, I'm going to just do a new one, see if it'll be happy with it. Photos. I may have called it the wrong name, but that is okay. And it is not happy with that one. Screw you. That is not what I wanted to happen. Oh well, I had hope, and the hope did not last. So, darn it, I really wanted to show the pictures I took from in the game because of how pretty it is. So, because I've got an Origin 300i, which is a luxury craft, and actually I'm starting to decide because I originally wanted to translate it over to the Explorer class ship, which has longer range. I still tempted to based on fuel concerns I have, but it's pretty inside. They cleaned it up, and there's like, it's got a, it's sad to say, it's got a moonroof, and I kind of like it. I was talking about it when I was playing with my brother, with Earthweaver. We were doing some stuff. I was playing Star Citizen. Because of those distances of travel and me running out of fuel, I was slow rolling it between stations so I could try to figure out how to refuel my ship. And we were playing League of Legends while I was flying. So I was just barely like trying to get to this port to deliver some cargo that I had. And so I had it in one window with League playing in the other window and going just fine. But I was just monitoring like, well, I'm slow. I just have to make sure my cursor's close enough that I had to slowly orbit around a planet to get to the port I wanted. And it just took me forever. It was hilarious. But man, it's a pretty game. I haven't done much of the combat for a while. It was mostly just living in the world and seeing some of the planets. Taking off from a planet, especially when, and this has been one of the more Marvel things for me, the lighting in the game is phenomenal. Taking off from the dark side of a planet and flying towards the sun and catching it as it's starting to basically see the sunrise over that part of the planet, or going in and doing something, coming out and having it at a different time of day is so pretty. So there's a lot that I'm just looking forward to and keeping up with Star Citizen. It's nice to get in there and play with it again. I actually have a group that I'm loosely affiliated with, that VtW's wing of Star Citizen's affiliated with, who are trying to get more people on again. And so that kind of got me to update it and jump back in. And just, it is a gorgeous game. And I've seen some people with the multiplayer side. I still, like I said, I have not been able to get it to play just smooth as I'd like. I've seen in the past some optimization I'd like to go find again to see if I can find some other I&I tweaks or something to clean it up a little bit. But it plays well enough. When I'm not rendering a ton of stuff, 60 frames per second, slower level I'll hit down to like the 20s when I'm kind of running around the cityscapes and stuff. But it's cool. I even went out and jumped in the spaceport, jumped in my plane on the big planet, on R-Corp, and took off and flew back to the main hub. I kind of kept track of where I was going and the trains to get to the station, and I flew back to the main tower, and I could see down. The only challenge, I couldn't get lined up to an area to see if I could see people running around, other people in the game or not. Don't know if that would have happened, but they have shown in the past where you can do that on like stations in space. Gosh, it's got so many cool elements. I was just enjoying spending time in the game, if that makes sense, as one of my more chill things. Since I wasn't doing any missions where I was fighting, it was chill. You guys are right. Thanks for bringing that up as we're talking about real time on sales and stuff. There are a lot of sales on storage. If you are looking to upgrade your computer, if you do not currently have an SSD, if you do not have one of the faster NVMe drives or something like that, you can get those for really reasonable prices right now, kind of everywhere online. Newegg, Micro Center, I think even Tiger Direct had some good ones. I'm not sure as much about Amazon, although I think they did too, but you're right. Storage has some good ones. I am not currently in the need of storage. You know, I did that before. So again, I'm not in the market. Struggles. Maybe if I was building a whole new PC right now. But I currently have 12 cores and they're running at 3.6 gigahertz and faster, so I'm okay. Grr. So yeah. But that is something that you can definitely pick up and to supplement your storage right now. But it's one, if you don't have an SSD, at least for a boot drive, I would recommend going out and getting that now. Mostly I want to bring up Star Citizen to say that it is a real thing. It is still being built. You can essentially play it now if you've purchased into it. It is not a complete experience, but they're getting there. They announced with 3.8 and others coming forward that they're going to start doing persistence of every object in the world, which is cool as heck, because at the moment, like one of the little moments I was surprised by, I did not have a place in my ship that I found to place this little cargo box that I had to deliver on the mission I was on. And so when I went into the ship and eventually was like, what do I do with this thing? I just said, screw it. I sat down in my chair, and so he dropped it like behind him as I got into the chair. as I was flying in space, and I did an external look, and I was doing a quantum drive between where my pickup and drop-off points were, I looked in from the moonroof of the ship and saw that box sitting behind my chair in the ship, even though I was outside of it. I was like, okay, that's cool. Because they have found that neat way of having multi-layers of where you're interacting, what you're affecting. That you, internal to your ship, is a zone that is flying within the zone of space. And so they bracket out the zones and all these different things that allow them to manage the data within them. But in universal persistence, one of the things they're talking about doing is you'll be able to pick up a coffee cup from your apartment at ArcCorp's planet, fly out to some random moon or station or somewhere, and like go, especially if you went to like some planet or moon, cross the solar system, go into a forest randomly somewhere and drop that coffee cup on the ground, and then take off. And as long as nobody comes by and picks up that coffee cup, you'll be able to come over later in the future and find that same coffee cup sitting in the same spot somewhere there on the planet. That is some interesting tech idea that they're trying to, how they're going to manage it. And some of the people were saying, well, the joke came up because it's an internet streamer meme that you can get, if you got like a turtle in the game, that someone might try to hoard all the turtles and just keep getting more and more turtles. They did talk about that in the sense that any item in the game will have a limit to how much existence there is. And so if you start trying to hoard them all, eventually that will be all of them, or something like that. It said something to that effect. Also that there'll be things with mining and stuff like that, the sun and solar systems, you'll eventually be able to mine out and be no longer viable, that you'll get all the resources and stuff. It's going to be really curious to see what else comes forward with Star Citizen. But even right now, I've enjoyed getting back into it and just kind of looking around it, playing with it a little bit to see where it's at. I have high hopes. I continue to keep track of it and can't wait for them to get... Honestly, Squadron 42 was the whole reason I bought it in the first place. I wanted the single-player experience more than anything, but I am looking forward to what they will be doing with Star Citizen and their path forward. Lots of other stuff with AI, having AI bots, things you can like rent, not just ships yourself to play and fly yourself, but you can actually do or travel on ships that are piloted by others so that you don't have to spend your own gas, or if areas you don't want to navigate, you might be able to charter ships and things like that and have the AI take you. A lot of just cool pieces of tech that, that Robert Space Industries or, the whole Star Citizen thing is doing. And so I keep on it. It's coming. Still not there yet, but the community is alive. You can play it today if you want to kind of keep into it. It's just not released yet, and we still don't have a date for that. Anyhow. So beyond Star Citizen, I did have some articles and things I wanted to talk about today. Let's see, actual lists in there. I think we'd already talked about all the EV vehicles, the Tesla truck, the Mustang, all of those. So those are not for today. What I do have is some things that I've already picked up throughout that I was looking through. One of the things is I was talking about Beat Saber earlier. News, and these are all coming to you from IGN. But it was just announced that Facebook has acquired the developers behind Beat Saber. So Oculus now owns Beat Saber. What does that mean? So Beat Saber is built by a company, or was, called Beat Games, and it says they will continue to operate independently from Prague. But will they? So Facebook has announced that it acquired Beat Saber's developers Beat Games. The Czech Republic-based developer will join Oculus Studios as an independently operated studio in Prague. In a press release, Facebook says the acquisition will not impact upcoming content for Beat Saber. Beat Games will continue to ship content and updates for a popular VR rhythm game, including the upcoming 360-degree level mode and new songs in December. Ooh, looking forward to that. Now, this one's kind of a quick one that I want to talk about, because the big concern with this one from people who've had it for a while, and as I talked about from the modding community, is that Facebook Oculus has basically talked to the fact that they need to ensure that copyright holders and things like that are being upheld. And so there's concern, as they said, let's see, where is it in here? In regards to mods, Verdu says that Facebook understands Beat Saber mods are popular and is hoping to, quote, preserve the value that mods bring to Beat Saber player base. But they also say that mods that are illicit or engage in piracy will not be tolerated. So that'll be curious to see what they do, because most of the songs I have now are custom beat maps. Now, it's also interesting because in the game today, you have an ability to make your own beat maps. So It'll be curious to see what they do with that. But the concern is they might try to find a way to lock out your ability to mod the game. So, Kuro, the question will be, where did you get it? Because I looked, and I currently don't see any feature on how to turn off updates in Steam. I see a way to do it, always keep up to date versus when it updates and things like that. But I didn't see anything that let me turn off the updates, which if you find a way, let me know, because that is something that most people have recommended, that if you want to keep your mod support, because unless they, other than that, admittedly, that 360 game mode, which sounds awesome, being able to turn around and play beats all around you, I'm looking forward to see how that works. Could be super cool. But beyond that, I don't know if I need many more features. I don't know. They've done a good job. They've added a lot of stuff to it. They have good things out there. I am afraid that they'll take away some of my favorite songs that I play that are not officially released titles, and some really fun beat maps that they have out there. Anyhow, so that one's come out. We'll see what happens in the future. I can understand Facebook wanting a company that's produced one of the top-selling independently built VR games that is simple, but man, is it AAA. So that can make sense. Now, the other question, does that mean things will go exclusive in the future or whatever other things come out? Because Oculus has done a lot of exclusivity, and that's something that pisses people off. Let's see. What other stuff do I see? Oh, there's a discussion here as we were talking about The Mandalorian and Baby Yoda. From IGN, it says that Baby Yoda shirt designer explains Disney approval process for Mandalorian merch. It comes out saying that the time has finally come. Let's see. And I'll get to what you just put there, Babs. The time has finally arrived. Baby Yoda-themed merchandise is beginning to pop up on many online outlets and in stores, just in time for the holidays. It appears the only officially licensed merchandise is largely limited to apparel at this time, with the exception of the adorable Baby Yoda plush you can buy at Disney parks, as Disney's been keeping many of the Mandalorian big reveals under wraps. They said that Fifth Son has worked with Disney on a number of properties in the past, including Star Wars, Marvel, Pixar, and more. Currently, you can find merchandise in The Mandalorian available on Amazon, Shop Disney, By Design Humans, and Walmart. One of the reasons this one came to my mind, this article came up, is because I've been seeing things posted on social media all over the place of people screaming for Mandalorian merch, specifically Baby Yoda, and saying that Baby Yoda, that's interesting. Baby Yoda is not available anywhere right now, and people want plushes hardcore. So if you can only get an official one in the parks, I've seen a lot of people showing like sewn designs for people who do their own, that can weave their own stuff, to people, I don't know, trying to basically take advantage of the gray market area where it's not official licensed material, but something that is Baby Yoda. But there's not a lot available today. And so I've seen a lot of stuff that actually looks like, God, Facebook needs to fix this. I see more and more ads today that are obviously garbage. You know, I just saw one today that I clicked into looking at, like, that can't be true, because anything that's too good to be true, right? Can't be. It was for a 4 or 6 needle / thread embroidery machine. It said like $83. Those are $5,000 to $10,000 machines. Would you get your noise off my feed? You know, all the noise that's come out recently about basically, fake political ads, stuff like that, things like that, that Facebook's getting eaten up for not policing well enough. Those troll ads where people are just trying to get your personal information, Facebook, you need to crush all that. That is garbage. But I've seen a lot of it come out for Baby Yoda merch. And knowing that it's only one thing from Disney, know that that's not out there. And so, yeah, just not available yet. Babs posted a thing from Heartland Gaming saying about the Beat Saber updates, what you need to know. It says, we all love updates, optimization, content. It's all great. What we don't love is all of our mods breaking. Yes. First thing, let's tell Steam to stop updating this game automatically. So it says you can only update this game when I launch it. And it says, now at the top of Steam, click where you see, and let's go offline. Yeah, see, but that is not a true answer to how it works. Okay, so there may be ways to still play with this. Thank you, Babs. I'll have to look through that to see how that one works. Anyhow. So we'll see how that works. Also catching up, it says, yeah, in that article, yes, it says Swartz, who I want to say is part of the licensing thing, says, also made sure to correct me when calling it Baby Yoda, as he said they are, quote, are not allowed to call it Baby Yoda. Instead, they are currently calling it The Child. This despite the fact that the producer Dave Filoni recently remarked saying that Baby Yoda is an acceptable name for the time being, since we still don't know the actual name of the race that Yoda belongs to, and now this new baby. So yes, that one is good. Oh, that's fun. Gosh, you guys are great for finding the material. Talks about, Kuro posted that picture saying Steam sales then versus Steam sales now. Then 90%, 85%, 80%, 75% off now. 10, 15, 20, 30% off. There are still those bigger ones, but yes, they are harder to come by. And Bab saying how much for a Baby Yoda. I will say that, the 3D prints I've seen out there, the models like, the current Baby Yoda that I have shown people that is adorbs. And what I'm waiting for now is the updated model based on the latest episode with the soup cup that people are seeing as a coffee cup type thing. That looks so good. I can't wait to see the ones on that one come out. All right, continuing on in the news. Another acquisition that recently happened that at least I'm aware and curious about, but at the same time makes sense to me. It says Codemaster acquires Project Cars developer. So simulation specialist Slightly Mad Studios joins the Codemasters racing portfolio. It comes in saying, Dirt, Grid, and F1 Series developer and publisher Codemasters announced the acquisition of Slightly Mad Studios, the developer and owner of the Project Cars franchise. Established in 2009, Slightly Mad Studios developed Need for Speed Shift, Shift 2, Unleashed for EA, plus Test Drive Ferrari Racing Legends for Roambax games, before investing in developing Project Cars and its sequel, which were distributed in partnership with Bandai Namco. Quote, we are delighted to bring such an incredible racing game developer to the Codemasters family, and this unequivocally establishes us as a global powerhouse in the development of racing titles. This coming from the Codemasters CEO Frank Sagnier, alongside the announcement, quote, we share the same passion and vision, and our new partnership will accelerate our growth. With more streaming services coming to market and the next generation of consoles due in 2020, this is the perfect time for Codemasters to take its next step. So, for those who aren't aware, aren't big racing fans, I'm a pretty big one about this. I have owned titles from both these companies over the years. Codemasters gave me some of the best rally games that I've ever played, and Project Cars is a dang solid and dang pretty race car simulator. So it'll be curious to see what we get coming forward. I'm trying to think if they have any IPs that conflict with each other, because I believe Project Cars was mostly going against things like Forza and Gran Turismo. I'm not sure what other major racers out there were kind of direct competitors for Project Cars. You had some things like Arsica Corsica, or whichever that one's called, but I think that's more hardcore racing, and a couple other the hardcore ones. I'm curious. I like Project Cars. I think they did some good things with it. They had some good VR support, stuff like that. I think these are actually very similar to each other, so I don't know if I have anything negative to say about this merger, and I'll kind of be hopeful to see what comes next, right? What'll be the next piece that comes out of that, what next games they'll be releasing. I mean, Codemasters are going to have their own thing, but specifically from the people that were or continue to be Slightly Mad Studios, I'll be very curious to see what their next thing is. Let's see, what else did I have in the news? So, a pic of the supposed PS5 dev kit pops up on Twitter. So this one, again, just in last week, says, after an illustrated image of the PlayStation 5 dev kit appeared to be confirmed by a game developer last August, a new image, this time of the real thing, has appeared on Twitter. The image, first shared by Twitter user Alcohol Icost, and reported by Eurogamer, shows two supposed PS5 dev kits side by side, each featuring the same V-shaped design we saw earlier. Illustrated images, and I've seen a couple shots of this one, and yes, I agree, Kuro. This is the article, since I can't show the picture. This looks like, and a lot of people have talked about for the dev kit, that the V design with all the cooling above is mostly for cooling, as they're trying to get it to just be something you work with. But a lot of people have been talking about specifics of what they're seeing on the dev kit, like the still optical drive in the front, multiple connect ports, few things like that, to kind of more see what is the likely I/O that will be in the final PS5. So what can we expect it feature-wise? Be curious to see. Let's see. The Verge editor Tom Warren chimed in to confirm that they are in fact PS5 dev kits and explain the odd shape. This also via Twitter, saying the reason it's large and V-shaped is make sure they are more easily stackable for devs who are running multiple stress tests. The cooling is optimized to push air out of the sides and center. That makes sense. And it's interesting because I saw recently there were some groups that have been doing some spoofs and things that showed what they hoped would be the PS5's features in a launch notification. I will admit, the first time I saw it, I was taken in thinking it was an official launch because I was about to be excited. Only to come to find out that no, it wasn't, and there's still a bunch of people speculating. Because right now, I'm of the position that new consoles are not for me. I'm a PC Master Race guy, and I don't see why I would put something else in my living room that I'm barely going to play. Right now, it's reduced to playing optical, like Blu-ray movies. My PS1, or I have a PS3 and I have an Xbox One S. The Xbox for playing Blu-rays, actually, and Rock Band. And the PS3 because I have played a little bit of Little Big Planet lately with some friends online. And that's been pretty much their use case. Otherwise, PC for everything. It makes sense, Curl, like you're saying, the rumors about having an SSD in there because you want faster access. One of my challenges still that the upgrade path for most of those is I think they're talking about having 2 terabyte drives in general, but that anything else is still external, and that then reduces your performance. I'm trying to think of other things they talked about. Well, the one that I'd seen that actually made me look at, like, I would buy a PS5 likely if it did this, is that if they actually supported, and this is what that ad showed, or the fake one, full backward support compatibility for everything that PlayStation that Sony has ever had. If I could throw in my Bushido Blade game right into it and start playing it, as well as my old like Karaoke Revolution games and stuff that are no longer supported on any platform, then I would buy it for that alone. And it would be wonderful. But otherwise, I just don't know what I would play on a console. Everything else is I'm going to be playing on PC. It's just me, and I've got an awesome setup. So for me, the PS5 announcement is not a big deal, although I'm still curious watching them both, because currently, as far as I've seen, the PS5 and the Xbox, oh gosh, I'm forgetting the name of their project for it, but the next Xbox are exactly the exact same hardware. From everything I've seen, they bought the exact same contracts from AMD and everything else to get the exact same console hardware. The difference will be in kind of how they implement it, maybe if someone gets one feature in or another, but otherwise I feel like they're going to be almost the same. It'll be curious. One of the big pluses I am saying is that both of them announced that they're going to support ray tracing, real-time ray tracing, and so I believe that's using the official free or the open source DirectX plugin for that, or kind of model or whatever it is for the ray tracing, so it won't be an RTX solution. It'll be the open source version, just like how AMD does FreeSync for open source adaptive sync technology. It'll be similar in that way. I'm looking forward to that because who doesn't need better lighting? Both consoles are designed or planned to be out next Christmas, so a year from now-ish time frame, so we should start seeing more leading up to that. But beyond that, we haven't really heard a whole lot of confirmed details, and so we shall see. Yeah, that'll be cool. Yeah, and you're right, Kuro. I think it'll totally make everything work out better for PC gaming, because if every game's from the get-go being developed with ray tracing built in, we all benefit. Woohoo! And so I'll be down for that. I am curious because I give credit to AMD as due. They are finally giving it to Intel, and that they are becoming a preferred chip for PCs again. They're still head-to-head back and forth when it comes to specific gaming performance, but in general computing, that new 64-core AMD, which is more than anybody really needs purchase price-wise, but is pretty darn solid solution for someone who's doing other types of processing. So that's pretty neat news in general. All right, those I think are the main titles I had coming up, or the main things I saw. Also, in general, as I go back, I see a few articles I had in the backlog of things I'd had for like Black Friday sales and stuff. If you haven't, this is one. We're talking about storage and RAM prices being pretty solid. If you don't have, or you're looking to fully upgrade or get a new PC, specifically laptops, right now is an amazing price time for laptops. The sales I've been seeing on laptops have been solid. All the way from you can get a decent gaming laptop for under $1,000 right now with latest generation technology. A lot of them with like 1660s and stuff like that, all the way up to I've seen some of the lower 2060 type powered laptops in the range of just at about $1,200 or less. Essentially, what I did years ago when I got the laptop I had that had dual 750s in it, you're able to get at a much better price point today with pretty solid hardware. So if you are looking for a laptop, look now. Oh, let's see. What other news do I have in there? Because they're saying that Dell and Alienware are having some really good sales. That's one of those articles I had. Other ones, as I was going back, just for my sake, a little bit of 3D print news for those who do. What is it? H&H Printing, 3D Plastics, has launched new industrial-sized filament spools. This one just caught me because I had been seeing more and more where the tradition is like 1 kilogram spools for most needs, but there are becoming more and more FDM printers that are bigger and bigger. And in it, it says US-based filament manufacturer H&H 3D Plastics is now launching a new line of industrial-sized spools to facilitate the growth of large-format 3D printing. Quote, if you are producing a 3D print which takes 48 hours or more, and many of our clients already are, you simply don't want to keep switching out your materials 2, 3, or 4 times a day. By providing industrial-sized PETG and PLA made in the United States, we are moving forward with our goal of providing solutions to existing issues within the additive manufacturing space. All right, lots of words, lots of there. So, to meet this need, H&H will now be releasing extra-large 3.5 kilogram spools alongside its 1 kilogram and 1 pound rolls. This new line of XL filaments includes black and natural PETG with the 3.5 kilogram filament spools made available via the company's Amazon store. All right, so for that, it's nice because it's going to have it in both the 175mm and 3mm diameters, so for pretty much any FDM prints. But this is awesome. Now, most people I know don't have prints that big, but wouldn't that be amazing? I love that you guys are having the discussion in there about how to upgrade your laptops and such. And it's interesting, Kuro, because even my old laptop that I have, that's still what I use primarily, I am tempted to upgrade to an SSD, and unfortunately, I know I don't have an M.2 slot, so it won't give me like that full, like I do on this PC as a boot drive, the kind of 7-second boot times or whatever. But going from what I currently have in that drive, which is a hybrid, it's a 25, I think, gig SSD hybrid with a 1 terabyte spinning drive overall, getting a single 1 terabyte SSD would significantly increase the performance on the laptop so much more. That's probably one of the bigger annoyances, the boot times on it now, compared to as I get used to the desktop, which I can reboot when the show crashes or something bad happens and have it back up and running in like a minute, is so good. And that's like up running and the show started again. That, yes, if you have not gone to SSD as your boot drive, you're missing out. At least do yourself that favor. That is a really good, holiday gift to yourself. Let's see, what other old news do I have in here? I think I talked about it a little bit. I tested it out for a moment, but there was an article from back in the day that Twitch, being the biggest streaming group out there at the moment, although getting solid competition from Mix and from a few other, like Facebook streaming, a few other things that are trying to get into that market, take more views from it. Twitch has announced and is offering now its own streaming application. So if you're still trying to figure out and you want to do some streaming and not sure what to use, you have another option. And it is free and it is from Twitch. So optimized specifically for them. I did check it out. I will say it is bare bones when you're used to using things like OBS and variations of it like we do for the show. It does have support for things like overlays and layouts, but it is very much like baked in to the specific ones that will let you run with it. It's not really doing much for customizability. Like, it doesn't let you drag things around the screen. It doesn't let you bring in your own sources, such like that. It pretty much does the game, or whatever one thing, either the game, the desktop, your camera, and then it can use some very specific plugins and overlays for specific games. And that's about it. So, does it work? Yes. Is it clean, and does it get the performance out there? Yes, it's fine. I didn't really get to do much testing with it to see how well it, like performance of how much resource it uses, Because like right now, as I'm streaming the show, this is pulling 2.9 or 2.3% of my CPU, under 3%. So it's not really a big use. Now, I have capped us at 30 frames per second, and we're only streaming at about 3 meg per second up because of my curtailed internet at the moment until I switch over to residential beginning of the new year, which I got to look that up soon because unfortunately, I may have a cutoff period where it doesn't overlap, but I need to start calling them to schedule like getting my residential stuff installed so that I can have hopefully, a all digital gigabit type connection. We'll see. It's going to cost me more, but it'll be hopefully better performance. Then I can stream faster, and we can have more bandwidths for you guys to consume. So I'm pretty sure they were focusing on it being lightweight because that's probably one of the bigger concerns I've heard from people, is that with the wrong broadcast software, if it doesn't mesh right with the right games, that it just becomes a hiccup and kind of in the way versus it being a benefit. So when they announced it, they referred to it as an all-in-one streaming app for new streamers that cuts down on guesswork to setting up a quality stream and makes it easier to engage with your community. They do have some of the chat features and stuff like that in there as well. And let's see. The current version of the app has limited feature set, like I said, and they're looking to get feedback, so we'll see what they come up with in the future. Let's see. Babs, you asked, what? Explain your bandwidth switch. Okay, so for those who missed it previously, what got me into the situation where I got fed up with business class internet being provided by Comcast here in the Denver area and the various options we have. A recap for those who had already heard it. I had been put on a deal several years back where I got 2 years of a fixed pricing scheme where I was getting 150, really translated to basically 20 megabit up and about 175 megabit down on business class. So no shared and unlimited bandwidth. In doing so, I was paying with the deal about $120 a month, which is reasonable. I was okay with that. Challenge is, deal ran out. Deal ran out that next month without me getting a notice saying, hey, your deal's about to run out, which, okay, they don't have to, and I could have managed it myself, but it would be nice when someone to explain that when your stuff gets, when your discount features are about to run out. But that next bill came in and was like $220. So it went up basically $100 a month without the deal. I was at a point where I not want to eat that cost additionally, so I paid that month, but didn't want to run into it again. So I found out what options do I have, because I used to, whenever I wasn't on a deal, run down to a deal that gave me 50 down and 15 up, which was solid, or 15.10 or something like that. But that was solid, and it would cost me about the same, about $100 a month without a deal. And so I was like, okay, all right, let me do that one. Oh, they don't offer that plan anymore. Instead, they moved it to a 75 down by 15 up, and they charge $160 for that, plus the $10 or something a month rental of the box. So to get the next tier that was closest to what I did have would have dropped me about $50 a month on total price. Still over $150 a month. No, thank you. And for only $75, I was like, this is garbage, business class. So in a knee-jerk reaction, I went, what's the lowest you have for a business? Well, the lowest, what I am currently on, is 5 up, and what do I have down? It's 20 down or something like that. 5 up, 20 down. It's anemic. 5 and 25 or something like that. And it basically cost me about $80 a month for that, which is garbage for that price. So I started looking at what other options are, because I got the business class for the unlimited bandwidth as well as for the quick reaction, but you all know how many times the internet has gone down during the show, during the live stream. That was all Comcast's fault. And so in doing that, I was like, I'm getting no benefit for paying for the additional for business class. I don't use what I would normally have to pay for, but I do get as a benefit the static IP that essentially comes in there. When I was running servers for ARC and stuff like that, okay. And there's ways you can do a dynamic transition from an IP into yours without having to pay for a static IP. And I can still pay for one, I think, on residential if I wanted to. So, what I looked at and what I'm currently, I think, planning, I believe the solution will end up costing me somewhere in the range of that $150 to $170 range, still more than I wanted to pay for, but as a residential account, so it'll be shared, and I'll likely run into more issues on prime times, although I don't think it'll be that terrible. Where does it have it? No, I want to look at shopping. And unfortunately, when I try to like price it out on their things, it doesn't tell me 100% because it's who are you and what do you have? And it's like, oh, well, we don't support all this because you're a business class user. Right. They offer one that says, and unfortunately don't really talk about their upload, so it may not be all that much better, up to gigabit speeds. But the one I am looking at is the 500, I think, initially. It's 500 megabit down and some unknown amount up. And I believe that one's going to cost, essentially, it says it starts at like $75 a month or whatever, $79 a month. But then, as Kuro said in the chat there, to get the unlimited bandwidth, it's still $50 more. So on top of that, it'll be $75. I worked it out, so it should be about $150 to $170 for the 500 down. The gigabit is supposedly, they says the offer starts at 90, so I could do it for the first like year and get gigabit, but then it's going to screw me up and it'll go back charging way too much. So my thought was to go to like the one I might stick with and get its deal, which is barely any different. They say they offer 2 gigabit, but that's at $300 a month, so that's dumb. The price jump there is just ridiculous. So like I said, I'm looking somewhere between the 500 megabit and the 1,000 megabit down, which even if they only have 20 to 30 up, which dang it, if they do, they're wasting it. They should really have 50 or more up. That will be a better deal for me as a whole. I'll end up paying less than what it would have been under business class for the faster one. I would like faster because I utilize it. And it's funny when I talked to the business guy when I told him I needed to cancel, and they required 60-day notice from a business account to get it turned off, which is why I'm still not on it. They said that one of those things, well, that unlimited bandwidth, I mean, how much do you use? I was like, oh, I know I need the unlimited. Because he checked mine, he's like, oh yeah, you're way over 1 terabyte. I was like, yeah, everybody is, because anybody who streams 4K anything is going to hit that 1 gig or 1 terabyte bandwidth cap in a month in no time. And the idea that they still try to market that that's what their average consumer is using less than that is garbage, and they need to fix those numbers and realize that internet should not be limited by bandwidth, but simply by the speed at which you access. So, yes, or bandwidth caps. So that's where I'm at right now with that whole situation. So I'm looking forward to trying to switch over. Maybe it'll be painful. I don't know. If it is, I will continue to look for other options. And in the worst case in the world, maybe I'll just open up my own ISP, pay for my own direct line to my backyard, and charge my neighborhood and try to get everyone else here to connect to it. So we'll see. But yeah, that's currently where I'm at, and it is a frustration. All the marketing ploys we know they do and all the ways they try to make us pay more than they really should. And for the U.S. to still have probably the most expensive access to internet of most first world nations, or compared to any nation in the world other than maybe Australia, Canada, and a couple others. But it's so dumb, right? And that's the thing, Kuro, right there where you say you got charged $30 for an extra 347 gig over your 1 terabyte is insane. It doesn't cost them any more for the usage. That is just a way for them to charge us more money to make more profit. And it pisses me off every day. So I am deciding to try to challenge it, change what I have been doing instead of being lazy, optimize my performance and my connection. And we'll see. Maybe I'll land on a smaller one. Maybe I'll go back to like the 275 or something like that. That may be worth more to me, or the 175, which may be enough. But I've always touted I want gigabits. I want synchronous gigabit. And since Google decided to stop trying to be an ISP even more, and so my dreams of them coming to the Colorado area have been dashed, I can only live with what's available, basically the monopoly that is Comcast in this area, or the really bastardized second version, which could be going with, crud. What's the other one here in the area? It starts with a C. I wanted to say something Link. CenturyLink. Going with CenturyLink over their DSL options, which is even worse here and costs more and does not offer the same speed in my area because apparently Southeast Aurora, where I live, is too ghetto for them to have all of the bandwidth available. So that is my little rant on bandwidth and why I'm going to be updating and changing it. Hopefully, in the end, I'll be able to eke out something that's a little more efficient for what I'm actually doing. So those are my thoughts. And if anybody has better options, let me know, because right now there aren't many. And oh, by the way, that'll be my plug again for everyone to look at your legislators, the people that you have in office making laws, and let them know that you support net neutrality, you support municipal internet, and basically control of access to local people, and that internet should be considered a public service, not an extortable profit thing that the ISPs are providing today. That it should be government managed and max speeds, and come on, this is not an amazing thing. Kuro also saying that Comcast is increasing its pricing in 2020. It's like, oh, God, it's bad. And it's just dumb. Just dumb. Hey, congrats, Hando, for snow. Again, I have ice and snow all over that you can't see because it's too bright. Let's see, maybe the camera will adjust. Nope, it doesn't want to. As I say, maybe if I turn off the lights. Nope, it's not going to update. I wanted to. But basically, snow outside, at least the streets are still melting. But it is, what's the temperature? I think it's above freezing today. And I say this, I'm totally used to it, so it's not like me bitching. It's funny because a lot of friends who were traveling over this last week, yeah, it's 38 degrees right now, that were out in warmer weather and came back to this and were just like, oh man. It's like, yep, that's Colorado. You should be used to it. So, anyhow, all right. That is pretty much all the news I have. Is there any last bits today? Let's see. Did anyone else email in? I don't see any emails. I'm trying to think if there's anything else important to bring up before we end things today. After the show, what was I looking at? I was going to say, I don't know. I'm sure I'll stream something. I was trying to think if there's other legit things I have to take care of in the house while the sun's still out. It is warm enough. I might need to go work on a car real quick after the show, but I'll probably jump into Discord at least for a moment, see what people are doing, and then go from there. But I do think I need to do some productive things before this week starts, as I have to finish getting the house together before my folks come to town in another week and a half or 2 weeks, and I think that's about it. All right. Any last minute things? We got like a couple minutes left on the show before we call it today. Let's see. Let me... Oh, whoops. That is not what I wanted to do. Let me go there. Well, yes, Earth. I know they'll be staying in their house, or in their RV, but I'm sure they will also be visiting me quite a few times during the time. So I still have to have my house put together. I have like projects of hanging artwork and Christmas decorations, stuff that are just sitting out that need to be actually put out so that I can enjoy it. All right. With that, then, I will go ahead and cap things for today. Hopefully you guys were able to put up with just my voice for the last couple hours. And hopefully Ken and Kitten Features were successful in all of their shopping extravaganza and efforts today. I still need to decide if I'm going to spend almost $800 on a ski pass for the year. I got literally, let's see, is it still up there? Let's see. I've got, as it ticks down, 1 day, 10 hours, and 47 seconds to decide before they stop selling season passes this year. So we'll figure that one out. But with that, let's see. You have been listening to ShowX on Twitch and YouTube today. Check out all of our archives on YouTube, assuming, granted, I didn't get the news of that because I haven't read them myself, but assuming the new terms of service says that YouTube doesn't just, look over at our channel and say, oh, you guys aren't profitable, and therefore kills every video we've ever done. Because there's a new terms of service coming there that a lot of streamers are concerned about. But that may happen. But yeah, otherwise check us out on Twitch every week at 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. GMT. And all of our archived videos over on our YouTube channel, which is VtW... Oh, wait, no, sorry. Our YouTube channel, which is... Oh, where's it in there? Meh. I just had everything up further. Okay, it is under... Wow, where is it? All I have is links. I don't have the actual name for it. I want to say it's VtW videos or such on YouTube. Anyhow, we'll figure this out. Also, you can check out our Patreon, which is ShowX. You can email the show with all the updates of what you've been doing at showx@vtwproductions.com. You can also check out... Let's see. Probably we don't use our gaming thing on Twitch anymore, do we? You can check out me on Twitter or anywhere else on the webs at DocDead, DocDead. everywhere out there. And you can check out Ken as he's updated to Dr. Ken Reed everywhere else, as he's on Twitch and such. Anyhow, so we are good for today, and we're about to get out of here. So, sorry about that, Hando. Turkey on pizza is fine. It just depends on what you're putting it with. Remember, pizza is just a delivery device for any of your needs, just like everything else. And so check that out. I don't see any problem with it. Trust me, once you've been around the world and you've been to places like Japan where toppings become very exotic for pizza, you start to realize, much like a taco or a sandwich and such like that, they're all means to putting whatever it is in the middle in your mouth. So, yeah, I think anything goes on pizza. So, enjoy. All right, with that, we're out of here, and we will catch you again next week. Thank you, everybody, and goodbye.
Goodbye. See you next zombie.